Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the how to build or how I build Chaac edition. This one we will be going over Chaac for the DPS role. So this is looking at the items that you would want for that. So starting off in like Conquest or even maybe Siege, I would start off with Death's Toll, Hand, some healing pots, and then either, multi-pot is the one I've been testing out a lot. You might go with mana pot, you might go with wards, whatever. Just another consumable that is fairly cheap. I choose the multi-pot because I don't put a lot of points into his 3 early, and so I use the pots to make up for that fact. Other than that, we move into the core items. Ninja Tabby is a core item for me because I like to be able to use his abilities quite often. Pin Boots is also a choice, but not one that I favor. Next is Deathbringer. While I don't really focus a ton on the auto attacking aspect of him, I do put some into it, so getting the... I should hover over these, I always forget this. Getting the extra crit is good, and it's just a huge amount of physical power. Keen Size is a little bit of the auto-attacking ability. It helps to take out harder targets like tanks and stuff by knocking off an additional 5% of their health every hit. It is a fairly good item. The attack speed and the 30 physical power are pretty good. The next is Hide of the Urchin. I tend to build this quite often on him because it gives me protections versus everything, just allowing you to stay alive a bit longer, and it does give you some extra mana and health, just giving you more mana to cast abilities and giving you more health so that you can live. Next we look at the damaging abilities. Titan Bane is a really good choice if you are looking to be getting lots of damage with your axe throws and your ult and all those. Titan's Bane is a very good item, a good amount of physical power on it, and a good amount of penetration. Next we have Shifter's Shield. So some people might consider this a defensive item. It kind of is, but it's kind of like Urchin in the fact that you get a little bit of just a good balance of protections, but you also get a lot of physical power. Now the item is a little bit more expensive, so maybe in Conquest this isn't the choice you would want to go for, but versus a fairly balanced or mixed group of damage types from the enemy team will make this item good for you. 60 protection or 60 physical power whenever you are above 50% health, and 35 physical and magical protection when you are below. It's a fairly good package, but again, it is kind of expensive, so it's not something you might want to go for in Conquest, especially if you're behind. If you're ahead, the gold really won't make as much of a difference for you. However, that is more physical power than you get from Deathbringer. That's worth noting. Next is Jotun's Wrath. Now, this is a little bit more situational. If I'm playing against a mage, I will go, or more of a magic focused group. So say they have a magical tank and 2 other mages, center and in your solo lane, then I would go for Jotuns. If I'm versing a more physical group, I would actually go for Breastplate of Valor for the cooldown. So that's the difference. Now this does also give some extra protections, so that's something to keep in mind when you're facing another group. Last we have Rage. It's just more crit and power and gives you the ability to crit more. You do a lot of auto attack damage if you're able to actually hit somebody, so it's a fairly good pickup. Now for defense, as we discussed, Breastplate of Valor, let's go ahead and talk about Stone of Gaia. This is an item that I almost guaranteed to pick up if I'm versing a solo laner. Before they tacked on the extra health on this item, I rated this as my best Chaac item. Like, I find this to be a keystone of my build, and now that they added health to it, that's 100 health, right? What does that matter? Not a ton, but that's 100 more health to an item that I already considered really, really good. Next we have Shield of Regrowth. This is if you're facing a really heavy magical team, or maybe just you got out pushed by your solo laner, grabbing Shield of Regrowth combined with Stone of Gaia, combined with Chaac's healing ability, makes you very hard to kill. If they have anti-healing, it makes it a little bit easier, but overall it makes you a lot harder to kill, and especially if you get out of combat, you get your health up extremely quick. Now the last item we're going to talk about is Witchblade. This item it's actually one of my go-to items when fighting any character with any sort of melee heavy team. It gives you physical protections, but on top of that, it does something a little bit better. So you're actually limited on how much protections you can gain. If you look over here, you can see that the physical protections is 325. Normally, you're probably never going to hit that cap unless you are, like, say, fighting a completely melee-focused team. Probably would never happen in Conquest, but in Arena, in even Assault, it can happen. The good thing about Witchblade is, though, it actually reduces their physical power. So that is, like, basically an extra 25 physical protection that you get from this item if you want to think about it like that. So that would actually be much higher, 70, over all the others. Not to mention it gives you movement speed and attack speed and reduces their attack speed, so that's even better versus any physical characters, and including magical characters, such as Zeus, who has to stack his passive, such as Chronos, such as Freya, even Nuwa, now, beforehand even more, but now, not quite as much, but with her ability to root you, she can't just stick on you and hit you as many times to stack up her passive, so it's a pretty good item for that. Now I'm going to skip actives and jump down here to these last two. If I am facing a very heavy physical group and a group who has a lot of physical protections, I tend to like grabbing Void Shield for my team unless somebody else has grabbed it. This gives you the ability to give your whole team extra physical protection, extra physical penetration, and it gives you a nifty amount of physical protections and physical power. It's a decent item, although little expensive for what it gives you, in my opinion. But you know, I mean, comparing, this has no pin, but that's 60 power. Anyway, moving on to Pestilence. This is a good item to get if you're versing a magical team that has a lot of healing. Chang'es, Hells, Aphrodites, Guan Yu's, Cupids, etc., etc., Lifesteal, other Chaacs, Anubis, large list, as you can tell, of anti-healing people that you can make suffer with this. Decent amount of magical protection and a good bit of health added to it. And then lastly, I toss some wards, because you should always be able to quickly grab wards. Actives, these are bread and butter choices, especially as a melee character. Reducing healing or reducing attack speed, especially since Chaac no longer reduces the attack speed of people with his 3. He can no longer be a complete counter to auto-attacking gods, so this kind of makes up for it a little bit. Heavenly Agility, probably somebody else should pick this up, but it's a good item to have on somebody, and increasing your own passive healing by 25%, kind of crazy if you look at all the other healing I tend to pick up occasionally. And then Purification Beads is always a good choice. Aegis Amulet is a close second to being put on here somewhere. Or just Aegis Pendant, whichever you prefer. Those are kind of a toss-up between which ones are good and which ones aren't. But other than that, that's about it. I ramble a little, but hey, I think I did pretty good. If you guys like this series, make sure that you slap the like button down below and let me know that you do. Other than that, guys, I'd like to thank you for watching, and if you want to know about the abilities that I use for this god, well, you'll have to tune into a video where I actually play him, and I will explain then. Thank you guys. Have a great day.